compared to... No, but it is really his problem in a way because you are getting married together, so your problems are halved. That's fair enough. If you can give me £100 a month, does that sound okay? I know you're going to be on your honeymoon. I know, I do feel big. Thanks a lot. Cheers, bye-bye.
When he started asking about the husband-to-be, nobody can be held responsible for other people's debts unless they have signed to act as a guarantor. So in that respect, the new husband cannot be held responsible for those debts.
At Marlin, we not only have targets, we're competing amongst ourselves, with a league table which ranks us by how much we collect each month. And if Marlin doesn't reach its monthly target, we don't get our full bonus. Mark is our top collector, so I asked him how he does it.
You know, if you call it in the morning, you can't get hold of them, set a redial for lunchtime. If you don't get hold of them, then set a redial for 4 o'clock. If you're on late, call it when you first come in, then call it sort of just before tea time. And if you still haven't got hold of them, call it between 7 and 8. Just got to smash it until they do pick up the phone. I'll never give up on one ring, never. Always at least sort of 3-4 rings during the day. Like, it's easy to ignore one call, but if it's ringing for 2 minutes and you're at work, can you ignore it? Most people won't.
As Mark explained to me, the debt collection business is fiercely competitive.
If you allow people to miss payments and don't address the arrears, next month, will that person take your... If they've got 5 debts, yeah, and they're paying all of them £50 a month, if they get to the end of this month and you let them away with a payment without any repercussions, without having any conversations, without addressing the arrears, and just say, oh, that's okay, just pay at the end of this month then. When I get to the end of the month, if I haven't got enough money to pay all 6 creditors, who am I not going to pay?
Yeah, us.
You, because you're the pussy. Yeah, and I'm not saying that in any... But us, because we're the pussies. We're the ones who didn't take any actions when they missed their payment last month. All the other companies have put charges on. All the other companies have written aggressive letters. All the other companies have been phoning us 24/7 to get the arrears addressed. If we don't, we f*** ourselves. And if we start f***ing ourselves on the people who are paying us, all you're going to see is the profits go like that.
Most people don't realise just how big the debt purchase market is in Britain today. Banks and other lenders have now sold off to debt collection agencies more than £18 billion worth of unsecured consumer debt, and that's just in the past 3 years alone. Several of these agencies are owned by private equity firms and overseas investors. They buy the debt at a huge discount, then make their profit by trying to get the borrower to repay the amount in full.
Now, there is a lot of misunderstanding about debt purchase. Debt purchase company A has bought X number of debts. It can then do what it likes with it. If you collect £100 and you've only paid, say, £20, just as a pure example, then you're going to make a £80 profit straight away. So the profit lies in how successful you are in collecting.
Anthony Sharp was a debt collector for 25 years. Today, he trains debt collectors and works as an independent consultant in the industry. And does the debt purchaser have any obligation to let me know how much they've bought that debt for?
No, it's a private contract, and being a private contract, they wouldn't have to reveal that information either. They're not a public authority, so they wouldn't be covered by Freedom of Information Act or anything like that. So no, it would be a private contract.
At the moment, certain debts will be purchased for less than 6p in the pound. Other debts, which are more recent, where it depends on a whole range of different factors, but it can be 16, 17p in the pound, for example.
This is Brian White, who today works as a debt counsellor here in Leeds. He used to be a debt collector, so he knows the business both inside and out.
Once they've bought that debt, they will then collect the whole value of the debt as opposed to the purchase amount. So if they purchase a debt of £1,000 for 100, they won't collect the 100, which is what they've outlaid, they will collect the £1,000. The longer they hold on to that debt, the less likely they're going to recoup anything from that because of man hours and all the other costs that are involved in that. So they will push and push and push.
Good morning. You're speaking with Mark here at Mortimer Clark Solicitors.
Good morning, through to Mortimer Clark. How can I help you?
Hi, good morning, through to Mortimer Clark Solicitors.
What's this? Mortimer Clark Solicitors? I thought I was working for Marlin Financial Services. So, are this lot debt collectors or lawyers?
Just double check.
I represent Mortimer Clark Solicitors. We're under instructions from Marlin Financial Services.
I mean, what's the difference from a caller's perspective? What's extra?
Because from there,
what
we're
skills?
calling from Mortimer Clark Solicitors. Here we're calling from Martin.
Yeah.
It's not much difference.
No, it's not. It's a similar thing.
But it's just, I find it better down there because we call, we're like the middleman. If they offer you £50 a month, you can say, okay, let me see what I can do for you. I need to speak to our client first, which is Marlin, to see if they'll be able to accept that because it's their account and they own it. We just do the work and then put them on hold. You don't even speak to them, make out as if you do.
If you read the Office of Fair Trading Guidelines, section 2.1, it is unfair to communicate in whatever form with consumers in an unclear, inaccurate or misleading manner. I mean, I don't think you can say more than that. I think clearly there's confusion just through watching that, but how much more so for those people who they're collecting the debts from.
Marlin told us that Mortimer Clark Solicitors were wholly independent from Marlin, that the setup was lawful, and it denied that it was misleading customers as to its identity.
If a debt collector finds out that a debtor owns their home, then it could be payday for them. That's because they can then go to court and get what's called a charging order against the property. If it sells, they get priority. And they can charge interest too.
The moment we secure a debt against your house, you pay interest backdated to the point of termination.
So that could be huge, could it?
Oh yeah, that's why we put charges against people's houses. Not only do we secure our debt, we also get interest at a flat rate of 8% per annum. So that we've got them by the bollocks. We own 17.5 grand's worth of that house and getting bigger each day. Yeah? Pays for us to take enforcement.
Hi, it's Tom calling from Marlin. Hello, you're through to Marlin. Tom speaking. Who am I speaking to? We've got you on £50 a month. We've got January, we've got February, we've got March.
I'm soon bashing the phones on my own. I'm sticking by the rules. I'm treating people decently.
£30. Terribly sorry to hear that.
I was talking to a man who'd fallen behind in his payments, but he told me his baby had died.
I've got that we're still sending you text messages and stuff, which you probably don't need at the moment.
I told him that in view of his circumstances, we wouldn't contact him again for 2 weeks.
Okay, well, good luck with everything. Cheers, see ya.
But I was soon told that I'd been gullible.
You know, he's not paid since there.
Yeah.
So I kind of figure that if his baby's died, it's a load of old bull. He might have died, but why, how long, when did he die?
Just recently.
So why hasn't he paid since October then? What's it got to do with that? This sounds awfully hard, I know. If he'd been paying every month, and he's missed this month as the first month, and he said the reason he's missed is because his baby died, you go, oh my God, that's awful. But, he's not paid since October, so it's got nothing to do with it, really. Good afternoon, how can I help you?
But it was still on her mind.
Is it true? Has his baby died? I would have said to him probably, but I'm really sorry about that, but you've not paid since October. What was the reason for that, though?
Yeah, if it was me, I would go absolutely nuts at that.
But then he's not paid since October, so what's his reason? You'll learn. You will learn. He's not paid us since October, so tough, mate.
In part 3, what happens when the threat of bankruptcy becomes a reality?
I owe next £2,000. This is a letter from United Utilities Water. They want £188. Another outstanding balance of £190.
In the midst of this recession, there are about 400 debt collection agencies pursuing around £21 billion worth of consumer debt, most of which they've bought from banks, high street shops and credit card companies. They want debtors to pay up, and it's quite right and proper that they should. But there's a limit as to what these agencies can do. The law is very strict on the circumstances in which someone can have their house taken away from them or be forced into bankruptcy. But some debt collectors leave debtors with the impression that this might happen when actually they've often got no intention of taking such drastic measures.
Back at Marlin, Mark's on the phone to a client.
In this instance, if it was paid in full and final by the last day in this month, I could offer you a slightly reduced figure, 10% reduction. You'll also benefit by avoiding the enforcements that are now going forward and being requested by our client, namely, and including the possibility of a bankruptcy petition. I believe they served you with a statutory demand. They hand-served you with it. Do you remember that?
This is serious. A statutory demand is a drastic measure. It gives a debtor 21 days to pay up, after which they can be pursued for bankruptcy.
Yeah, we've got to be so careful with those stat demands now, though, because we're not actually proceeding with them.
All right.
So, if you notice, when I was wording it there, I was throwing in words like may and view, and the client may instruct them, and the client will then view. And by putting that in, it's almost you can say anything if you put the words may and because it what would you call it? It's a disclaimer, isn't it, really? By putting the word may, or it's sort of like a...
You're insinuating that it could happen, but you're not saying that it...
Hang on, that's Cheryl, the training manager. She's the one who told me I have to comply with the OFT guidelines, not get around them.
So you have to be you have to make them believe this is going forward, but at the same point, it's not 100% sure, but you don't want to say to them not, because if they hear the word not 100% sure, they'll just pick up on that.
Obviously, if you are threatening bankruptcy, once again, whether it's use of words